Hey guys, we're doing some nature art with Thomas Cole. He's an amazing American artist. He's one of the pioneers of nature painting, but we're going to be drawing today because that's what we have when we're at home.
Thomas Cole captured nature in her grandest form, creating sublime landscapes of the untrammeled wilderness. Born in Bolton, England in 1801, Cole came of age witnessing the effects of the Industrial Revolution. Rivers rotting with waste, factories belching smoke, and machinery destroyed in the Luddite Rebellion epitomized the new era. While Cole's working life began in a British factory, creating calico fabrics, his father was forced to relocate the family to the United States due to financial hardship. His early years as an economic migrant were Cole's winter of discontent. Yet brighter days were on the horizon. "In my imagination, I pictured the glory of being a great painter," he wrote. With gusto, Cole moved to New York to become an artist. He found early success traveling up the Hudson River to paint wild landscapes that were unmistakably American. From New York, the 28-year-old Cole crossed the Atlantic once more. "I'm going to study the great works of art," he wrote. "I feel like one who is going to his first battle and knows neither his strength nor his weakness." In London, he studied the European masters, Claude, Turner, and Constable, who impressed the artist and in the process strengthened his own hand. "I think I shall improve very fast here, having the advantage of seeing so many fine pictures, both ancient and modern." From England, Cole ventured to Italy in search of the picturesque. He mastered the art of the on-site sketch, portraying the Colosseum in Rome and the surrounding countryside of the Campagna. Cole returned to New York in 1832. The artist became keenly aware of the country's transformation under President Andrew Jackson into a profit-seeking, land-grabbing, manufacturing machine. His anxieties bled onto the canvas in two of his most renowned works, The Oxbow and The Course of Empire, manifestos which pose a question to Americans. Will the man-made forces of capitalism overwhelm the divine power of nature, or is there a better path for our young nation? Cole was a torchbearer who created a defining aesthetic for the new republic, a man who loved to paint and painted what he loved, cherishing one subject above all. He wrote, "I have found, though no natural scenery yet which has affected me so powerfully as that which I have seen in the wilderness places of America." He would launch the first national landscape school in the young nation by imparting his inspiration to generations of American artists. "Nature has spread for us a rich and delightful banquet. Shall we turn from it? We are still in Eden. The wall that shuts us out of the garden is our own ignorance and folly." The questions Cole posed in his art and in his writings continue to resonate today.
So Thomas Cole was amazing. He did some really cool artwork. All of his art was focused on landscapes and the beauty of landscapes. Today we're going to draw a scene that is kind of similar to something that he would make, except for ours is going to be imaginary. We're not going to focus on an actual landscape. I do encourage you, just like I said in the last episode, to go out into the real world and see what you can draw. I mean, some of you guys have maybe a view of the Hollywood sign, or even if you have just your neighborhood, you can look at some trees, you can look at some mountains in the distance, you can look at even just your house. There's a lot of things that we can observe and try to get more skills from just looking at them. So anyways, we're gonna start with this nature landscape. We're gonna have a mountain and some trees, and they're not gonna be nearly as complicated as the last trees that we drew. but hopefully when you're done, it's gonna look really cool. So all right, so first we're gonna do is maybe we're gonna make a, let's make a kind of a U, very lightly a U shape on our paper. This is basically going to be the line between our mountain and our trees. So very lightly, like you don't even see mine because mine is so light. But above that, maybe starting, we're going to put a line here. This is going to represent the top of our highest mountain peak. And then we're going to do another line here for our more foreground mountains. And then this is going to be where our trees lie. Okay. We're going to start from this peak up here, this little line that we made. And we're going to do some really jagged lines that kind of fan out. And then maybe make another peak here. Make some more jagged lines just going out to the side. And from here, we'll do more jagged lines. Doesn't have to be perfect. We're just kind of making something that can look like a mountain. Okay, so this is our mountain. Very, very simple and very jagged. And it doesn't have to be symmetrical. Actually, the less symmetrical it is, the better, because nothing in nature is symmetrical. Okay, so now we're actually gonna do our sun like in the last one. We're gonna make a sun in our top right corner or top left corner. This is not actually gonna be, it doesn't have to be seen, you can erase it afterwards, but this is just for reference. So everything on this side of our mountains is going to have light on it, and everything on this side of our mountain is going to be dark. So we're going to try to actually make some lines to show where our light is and where our dark is going to be. So let's start here at the top of this mountain, and let's kind of make some jagged lines. So this is going to be kind of where our mountain, kind of the way that it goes, or it flows. And we're gonna make some more lines that kind of run off from that. We're gonna do the same thing on this mountain over here, from the top of that peak, and maybe drawing it out. And we're gonna actually connect this mountain like this. Okay, so from these lines, we're actually going to start shading a little bit. So remember how I said everything on this side of our mountain is going to be light and everything on this side of our mountain is going to be dark? We're going to do some shading to show that. Okay, so really lightly, we're going to start in this shape up here. So this is a really basic shading job, but what we're gonna do is we're gonna go a little bit darker over this line that we created to make the shadow. And the idea is to make it so that the closer you are to this line, the darker your line is gonna be. And as we move further out, our lines are gonna get lighter. So we're kind of making another gradient from the middle of our mountain peak to the outside, and you'll kind of see that as I do it right here. So at this point, we're gonna add some more lines to further accentuate our peaks. So we'll put a line here, put a line here. We'll even put some lines going down this way. Some lines going this way. We're kind of trying to define different parts of our mountain range that you don't see super clearly, but the more detail you have in this part of the mountain, the more realistic it can look, or the more believable it looks. So I'm actually going over the corners, over the parts of the mountain that I kind of sketched over. And then we're going to do that same technique where we're making a little triangle where the shadow is. I hope you guys can see that. Anytime that the light isn't facing towards the sun, it's going to be darker. So I'm actually going to make some more of those. I'm going to darken these lines, remember? It's going to be dark on the right side of our lines. So I'm going to do something like this. And as you get closer to the bottom, remember how we said we're going to go lighter and lighter? We're going to do that, and to make it even more apparent, we're going to end up erasing some of it, but not yet. So also on the other side of the mountain, it's not going to be flat like this. If it's flat like this, it kind of reminds you of like a glacier, or it's just a giant piece of ice because it's just flat. So we're going to give this a little bit of depth and a little bit of texture. So we're going to make a little bit of some lines going this way. Not as dark as our other lines, but kind of to show where our mountain might have a little bit of texture. And then kind of do a little bit of shading underneath, kind of blending your lines together with the white, so it doesn't look like you're just drawing lines on it, but it looks like a texture more than a line. And you can even connect your lines together. Okay, so now we have something that looks like the top of a mountain. Maybe continue these lines out a little bit. Just like that. And okay, so on this side of our mountain, under here, we're gonna get a little bit of shading going up towards the top, and this side is gonna stay dark, or stay like this. So we're gonna just shade a little bit down here. Also, you can use a blending stump or your finger to just kind of blend it together. Don't go crazy with it though, because then just get a blended mess. Okay. Maybe I'll do a little bit more over here. Remember, we're going light with this texture in particular. Okay, so far we have a mountain, one mountain range, or mountain top. Can go a little bit darker on our lines again to further accentuate where the corners and the peaks of our mountain are. You could even go back in with an eraser and erase out certain parts of it to make it look like these parts are kind of sticking out from the mountain side. So there we have the top of our first mountain. So now we can start with our bottom mountain range. So let's kind of do something similar. This one's going to be closer to us. So this one's actually going to be hopefully a little bit darker. Okay. So I made my peaks kind of really tall and jagged, but you can do it however you want. Actually, before that, let's do a little bit of erasing because we want it to look like there are clouds between. I'll use a regular eraser. There are clouds coming up behind this. We're trying to simulate some type of gradient, but something a little bit more wispy. So we're using our eraser to make the cloud texture. Let's do these mountain peaks. So light on one side, dark on the other side. Kind of something like that. Let's maybe put this peak in front of that one. And like we did earlier, we're going to shade the part that's not pointed towards the sun. I'm gonna just do a shade, or just like a coat of all the sky, because it looks like these are just like coming out of nowhere. There's no grounding to them. So let's just start up here by our mountains, and we're gonna shade out. We're going to erase in some clouds. I actually want to make this side actually a little bit darker, so let's go back in over this one more time. Let's just darken this. Now we're going to try to erase in some clouds. So how I'm doing it is kind of making our cloud shapes, little arcs, and then erasing across. Just like semicircles. And then once you do that, then you can go back in and smooth it out with your finger. Once you go and do that, you can actually go back in and shade a little bit side of the cloud. bit of shadow. Alright guys, so I know this was a longer video, but hopefully you guys have an awesome looking heavenly above the clouds mountain scene. Submit your pictures to Class Dojo, or give me a short write-up about Thomas Cole, our artist for today. Anyways, thanks for watching this, and I'll see you guys next time.